Most 3D printers look great on a spec sheet, but how many of them actually survive a 40-hour print without you babysitting them? In 2026, speed is a given, so today we're looking at what actually matters. Which machines solve the humidity problem? Which ones handle multicolor TPU? And which are just loud, expensive paperweights? I'm giving you the honest truth on the top 5 printers that earned a spot on my workbench this year. Number 5. Creality Hi Combo. I've stopped watching my printer like a hawk, and honestly, it's a relief. This machine, specifically the Hi Combo, feels less like a project and more like a tool. I spent the last weekend churning out custom organizers, and the speed is just jarring. You send a file over Wi-Fi, and before you've even cleared your desk, the first layers are already down. The servo motors are the real hero here. They keep everything whisper quiet and incredibly sharp, even when the printer is absolutely flying. But I have to be real, if you live in a house with older 110V wiring, that heat bed takes its sweet time to warm up. It's a bit of a buzzkill when the rest of the machine is built for pure velocity. If you're the type who's tired of troubleshooting and just wants to hit print, this is your move. If you're on a tight budget though, keep looking. This is definitely a buy once, cry once kind of investment. Number 4. Sovol SV08 Core XY 3D. I had been staring at the clock for 3 days, waiting for a custom mechanical housing to finish on my old rattling bed slinger. It finally failed at 90%, and I knew I was done. I needed something that felt less like a hobby and more like a tool. Enter the SV08. Setting it up felt like prepping a race car. It's all exposed metal and heavy-duty rails. The first time I sent a file, the speed actually startled me. It doesn't just move, it lurches with this raw industrial purpose. Because the bed is so massive, I stopped trying to Tetris my parts into corners and just threw everything on the plate at once. The ceramic heater is the real hero. I barely have time to grab a coffee before the nozzle is hot and the first layer is down. However, the fans sound like a jet engine taking off in my office, which makes taking calls in the same room a bit of a challenge. If you've got a dedicated workshop and you're tired of being limited by small, slow machines, this thing is a beast. Just don't expect it to be a quiet roommate. Number 3. FLASHFORGE AD5X 3D Printer. Have you ever started a multi-day print and spent the entire time wondering if you'd actually have enough filament to reach the finish line? That low spool anxiety is something I've lived with for years, but using the AD5X has been the first time I've genuinely relaxed. I recently set up a long run of custom TPU gaskets, something most printers hate, and just walked away. Because it handles 4 kilograms of filament and swaps spools automatically, the machine just keeps breathing while you're asleep. The real magic is in how it handles those flexible materials in multicolor. It's smooth and surprisingly logic-driven. However, I did notice the build plate feels a bit cramped. After working with larger machines, that cube fills up fast, and you'll find yourself splitting models into parts more often than you'd like. If you're running a small shop and need a reliable, filtered machine that won't quit on you mid-spool, this is a great partner. But if you're looking to print massive one-piece helmets, the size is going to be a deal-breaker. Number 2. Anycubic Kobra S1 Combo. Active drying while printing isn't just a luxury. At this point, I think it's the only way multicolor printing actually makes sense. I've spent too many years reviving wet rolls of PETG only for them to soak up humidity again during a long 40-hour print. With the Kobra S1 and the Ace Pro box, that cycle finally stops. I've been running 4-color prints that look injection molded because the filament stays at its optimal temperature and humidity from start to finish. It's the first time I've felt like the machine was actually looking out for the material, not just the motion. But let's be real about the waste problem. Because it's a single nozzle system, every color change creates a purge tower or a pile of plastic scraps. If you're printing something small with 8 colors, you'll likely end up throwing away more plastic than you keep. If you're a perfectionist who hates stringing and wants crisp, colorful results without the babysitting, this is the one. Just be prepared to buy a lot of extra filament to feed the purge bin. Number 1. Anycubic Kobra 3 Combo. Does a 3D printer really need to be this approachable? With the Kobra 3, Anycubic seems to think so. I recently spent a weekend running back-to-back multicolor prints, and the experience felt surprisingly frictionless. The standout feature is the active heater in the filament box. It keeps the plastic bone dry during the entire process, which is the secret to getting those clean, professional surfaces without any fuzzy stringing. The interface is intuitive, and the quick swap nozzle makes maintenance a 5-second task. That said, it is still a bed slinger. When you're printing something tall and heavy at these speeds, the momentum of the moving plate can introduce slight imperfections that a more rigid frame wouldn't have. If your goal is to turn digital art into colorful physical objects with minimal fuss, this is a perfect fit. If you're looking for an industrial machine to build tall, high-precision mechanical parts, you might find its physical design a bit limiting. I hope that helps narrow down which of these machines actually fits into your workflow. 3D printing is finally getting to a point where the tools are catching up to our ideas, so it really just comes down to what you're planning to build. I've put the full specs and where I found the best deals in the description if you want to compare them a bit closer. If you have questions about your specific setup, just drop a comment. I'm happy to help you weigh the options. Catch you in the next one.